So this video is not to bash them. I'm not trying to make a clickbait video so people come and watch, oh, lab putters are a scam. It's nothing like that at all. What I do see is a lot of misconceptions and mistakes that people fall into when they do a lot of research online. They watch tour players that are using lab putters. They become convinced, I'm going to get a lab putter. This is the solution to my problems. So the number one thing is assuming that a lab putter of any shape, size, head style, length, spec is going to fix a bad stroke. If you make a stroke that I often see people make, let's say it's a lot of an outside in move, it's an open face, it's a high delivered loft, there's excessive face rotation, there's really inconsistent motions, there's bad setups. There's this misconception that just the fact that the putter is balanced a certain way, that you're just gonna putt better. The number one kind of experience I see when someone comes in here for a lab putter, but they don't end up buying one, it's usually a person whose stroke and setup is kind of a mess. I let them kind of have their own moment with it, demo it a little bit without saying too much, and kind of get the reaction. And I often hear, I don't really get it. Like, I'm not really seeing it. I don't know, I'm not really noticing this sort of miracle feeling. And I go, okay, well, that's fine. Let me show you a couple things about your stroke that are really higher priorities. So for example, you're hitting down in your putter a couple of degrees. You really tend to stand very open. You're cutting across it. These are the common ones. You know, people with really good putting strokes that come in and try lab putters, they often say, hey, the balance, this feels really good. I feel really confident about my face control. And then they go, you know what, I think this is worth me doing. Someone coming in that really doesn't have good technique, but there is nothing, no putter, no driver, no wedge, no nothing that can change someone's technique that's deficient into someone's technique that's good. The putter can add confidence to that, and that's it. But there's only so much that can do. The second and possibly bigger mistake that I see people make with lab putter is actually getting fit for it, in my opinion, improperly. So making a bad choice on the final specs. So there is an online system where you send them a video of you putting against like a door frame or something so they can draw some angles and recommend you a length and a lie. In here, I do it with, it's actually like an adjustable lab fitting putter. So basically you would say to someone, hey, get into your comfortable posture. Don't think about it, just tell me, how do you set up to the ball? Where do you stand? Where do you hold your hands? We lock it in. I look at the length. This says 33. I use the lie angle gauge, I measure it. You know, it might say something like 64, which for reference is very flat. So this person has come in for a fit, or they've done the online fit with their current setup and gotten, let's be honest, a very extreme recommendation. And I see these people on the golf course all the time. Or I'll read online, yeah, that's the spec that I got fit for. Here's the problem. That is being fit based on a setup that, let's just say universally, you can ask a lot of putting coaches, is just poor technique. That's just not how you should be setting up to the ball. If you are a normal stature person, meaning average height, average arm length and stuff like that, a putter that's that short and that flat basically means that you are producing a lot of angle in your wrist. So there's a lot of angle between the forearm and the wrist, a lot of angle between the shaft of the club and the lead arm. You want to look at most of the best putters in the world, there's a fairly straight line relationship between those two things. So the mistake people make is taking what they have and just applying it to a lab putter, making sure the lie angle sits flat, which I understand is necessary for the balancing technology, but it doesn't stop them from doing what happens when you have all this angle here, which is a lot of rotation. When you make a golf swing or you're chipping or making a full swing, you want this angle here in the shaft. You want wrist rotation. You want the club moving on the, like a lot like that. That's how you hit the ball with speed and you release the club. Putting is a lot more of a stable motion. And when you don't sort of get the wrist a little bit more locked out, you're gonna notice your face angle is really inconsistent. The complete opposite of what you're trying to achieve by buying something like a lab putter. When I go back into my customer orders and I look at the specs, they're really kind of boring, to be perfectly honest with you. Most of them are 34, 35 inches long. Most of them are about 69, 70 degree lie. Maybe once in a while I've gone 1 degree flat for someone, because every single person that's come in with this type of setup, I've had an honest conversation with them and I've said, listen, I can help you beyond the putter. I can tell you that you will be a better putter with this better setup. And what I love now about a lab putter, especially the big models, the big DF3, is that if you are making the change I just described, let's say you take my advice, you get the more normal lie angle that's more upright, you get the normal length. If you go back to your old habit, it is really obvious that this thing is sitting in a weird way. You can really tell that the toe's sitting way up. It's a great reminder. Oh, I must be doing that thing with my wrists again. Let me get myself in a much better position, much better posture. But when we're talking about sort of the lie angle balance part of it, I want people to enjoy that experience of feeling like it's super stable, but do it the right way. Do it with good setup and good technique. That will compound the good effect that you get out of it. It won't just take sort of what you got that's not working very well and just throw an $800 putter on top of it, and you'll probably end up a little bit disappointed in the end anyway. If you appreciate our honest, unbiased, no marketing approach, you can help support the channel in a couple of ways. Leave us a super thanks. You can actually order just about anything golf club or shaft wise through Golf Liberty. Sort of leads me into my next point, which is, they have the blade style putter. They have, which I really like the shape of, the new OZ style putter. I say to people, listen, if you're looking to make a change, if you really want to change your confidence, if you want the best amount of that really stable kind of floating putter feeling where it's not yippy at all, you don't feel like the face is moving around, don't be afraid to go with the bigger model. Don't be afraid to go with the DF3 model. I just think if you're going to make a change, make a change. The blade putter is great, don't get me wrong, but I get so many people come in and go, oh, I would never play a putter like this. Even the mallet style, I would never play a putter like this. It's like, okay, well, how much do you care about actually improving and making more putts? And how much do you care about what other people think of you? The other thing I don't think enough people are considering is trying or going with the heavier spec. So on their website, they have a standard and they have a heavier. I have this one in my hand that's the heavier spec. I have this one here that's the standard spec. It's not night and day. I mean, I stroke the standard spec one. Yeah, it feels nice. It feels nice and stable. I pick up the slightly heavier spec one and I really get that sort of like yip-proof feel. When you come to a shop like mine, I focus the first at least quarter of the session on helping people fix setup errors and stroke errors, so that they have a variety of options. They don't feel like, oh, I must get a lab putter because I'm such a terrible putter. If they still want to go that route, great. If it still gives them confidence, great. And then at that point, I find one thing people kind of do, it's a bit of a mistake with a lab putter because it does have, most models have the built-in lean, they have the built-in press grip. Most people are playing the ball position of this too far back in their stance. So they're playing it more like where they may have played an old blade. So what I love about these is that little bit of lean and sort of this big head and the CG location of it and the balancing, the zero torque, it really is probably the easiest putter I can think of to get people to actually feel an upward angle of attack. Oh, it went in, I should buy one. Because of the lean and the press, they're getting the effect of the upward angle of attack with reduced loft. That's something that's very hard for someone who doesn't putt that way. It's great technique. This, honestly, really shortcuts that for people. I think that's an underrated feature of lab putters in general. I see on the quad, which measures roll, really nice roll numbers from people once we make that adjustment. We get the ball a little bit more forward in their stance, give them the feeling of allowing the putter to brush upward, but not brush upward in a way that adds loft, just sort of maintaining the structure of the grip and allowing the putter to move up a little bit. And they start to get this really nice forward roll in the ball, and they start to get a lot more consistency to where the putter face actually starts. When it's too far back in the stance, you're going to find that you push a lot of putts, you're going to overcompensate, you're going to pull a lot of putts. And the last, call it, this is probably more of a misconception, but maybe at times a mistake, is people overestimating the value of the upgraded graphite shafts. They now have a number of them, some reasonable, some extremely expensive. People are overestimating what the actual practical performance difference between that and the standard piece of steel is going to be. You have to be ultra realistic. And I never, ever, ever, ever say anything to people much beyond, hey, it softens the feel off the face a little bit. I think it looks really nice. And the quality of it and the manufacturing quality of the head matches this aftermarket shaft a little bit better. You're spending a lot of money on a putter. Do you want something a little bit higher quality in the shaft? And it does dampen the feel just a little bit softer. Are the torque numbers different than the steel shaft? On a robot, if a really long stroke happens, is the putter moving around a little bit less than steel? It's certainly possible. Maybe there's data for that. Maybe there isn't. I don't care. But when someone's already considering spending like $550, $600 US on a putter, the people that are getting bogged down with, oh, if I don't throw an extra 200 bucks into the upgraded shaft, I can't really afford that. It's not worth it unless I do it. I hate hearing stuff like that because it's just, it's borderline delusion, right? If you're not going to putt well with the putter or you're not putting well with your stroke, changing into a $200, $300, $500 putter shaft is not going to make, possibly for some people, any difference, and possibly for some people too subtle or too unmeasurable a difference, too impractical a difference to be worth the money. My opinion, all of these companies, and I'm not picking on Lab, should kind of be ashamed of themselves for the amount of money that they charge for a putter and stick a piece of $10 steel in. Scotty Cameron, Ping PLDs, high-end Odysseys, I'll go on and on and on. These companies obviously at volume can get a really good deal on beautiful aftermarket graphite like this Acra or any other number of shafts. They should be doing that kind of for you, or they should be making it really cheap upcharge-wise for you to go with that. I just think that it's so at odds. It's such an expensive item. I think people shouldn't be, just like drivers, like you buy a super expensive driver and then the internet's convinced you that if you don't spend an extra 500 bucks on a Ventus, you kind of have a piece of crap in your hands. I hate that that's even going on with putters now. So think of it as a nice little addition, a little bit of a feel change. It looks really cool. Putters are a little bit of jewelry. It's a little bit of fashion, a little bit of personal expression. Keep it realistic. That's really what it's for. Don't expect the shaft to just change the way you putt all of a sudden. Don't take this video the wrong way. I actually really do like Lab stuff. Sure, I wish it was a bit cheaper. Sure, I wish they shipped a bit quicker. But this is not me bashing them. These are things that I want to tell you to avoid making mistakes on a really expensive item and mentally ending up disappointed with something that you were really excited about.